Hello and welcome to Qsports. I'm Mamudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. So first today on the show, we're going to talk about women's football. There is a Gambia women's football player in the Latvian league who was awarded the MVP, the most valuable player of the season. And we spoke to her earlier about the achievement. And also we'll be looking at Musa Barrow, who scored a fantastic goal last month in December 2024 in the Saudi Pro League, which has given him the award for the best goal of that month. We'll be talking about him and also Yankuba Minte's performance in the English Premier League for Brighton Hove Albion. Another Gambian player is Aliou Fadera, who plays for Como in the Italian Serie A. We'll also be looking at some of his performances in the past few games. He seems to be playing fantastic football, but the goals are not coming in the numbers that he would expect in the Italian Serie A. We'll also be looking at schools athletics because annually at this time, schools would be having their annual inter-house competitions, and that's where they would have their athletes to go and represent their schools in the schools athletics championship heats, and then from the heats there will be the national championship. All that will come on this afternoon's Qsports. But first, let's start with Latvia. The Latvian Football Federation has named Maņima Stivelmans the 2023-2024 season's best Latvian women's player of the year. And as captain of the team, she also plays for the Gambia national team in 2023. She was invited to be part of the Gambia's qualification for the women's AFCON. Unfortunately, the Gambia didn't qualify. I spoke to her earlier via Zoom video link. It's a pleasure to have Maņima, a Gambia national women's team player, and now plays club football for a Latvian Riga FC who won the league. And, you know, Maņima is voted as the most valuable player. Tell us how that feels.
Of course, it's an amazing feeling and great to receive this award and, of course, to win the league. Yeah, we didn't expect it since the team is completely new and it was a whole new process. But I'm glad I was part of it and I could help the team in this way.
Yes, tell us what has really improved as part of your game, because you were previously playing in other countries, in other leagues, and Latvia seems to be a new environment, a new country. How did you cope and what did you change in your game?
Yes, of course, it's a whole new environment, so new adaptation and like new style of football, since every country has its own ways. But yeah, I would say it's been for me the biggest challenge. It's been like stepping in front, like into the spotlight, since I'm more always in the background. But I was one of the most experienced ones in the team. So yeah, the coach kind of gave me the role to help the team and to put in my experience that I had over the years, since I've been in multiple clubs and in multiple countries. So yeah, I think that's the biggest part for me this season, like to help to advance my, not especially my game, but me as a person. Football wise, in that part also, like stepping a bit more in front of the spotlight by demanding more of myself, but also for my team. For example, this season I was taking the free kicks and penalties, so those things were in my hands. So yeah, it came with a bit more pressure, but I think we managed and I handled it pretty good.
Giving the captain armband, that should be some pressure, but you must have proved some leadership qualities to be able to handle that. How did that happen?
Yeah, I have to say I was really surprised actually to get the captain band. The coach, yeah, he believed in me and saw after we didn't have much preseason because everything was fast. Last minute actually that the team was built together. I think we only had 4 weeks of preseason, and after I think 2 weeks, he was like, "For me, you are the captain. like the way um, you are with the girls, the way you practice and give everything. For me, you're the leader, and then the girls also acknowledge that. And yeah, they said, yeah, we want you to be our captain. So yeah, I was a bit surprised because I don't speak the language. I can only speak English with them. So I expected somebody that spoke the local language to be the leader and yeah, to help the team.
That was going to be my next question. The language. You speak English, they speak a different language, completely different. But sometimes they
Yeah,
say football is all the same language on the pitch. How did that work out?
yeah, it's been tough because we had some girls that were speaking English, but we also have some girls that don't really understand too much English, and the coach also he doesn't speak much English. So at the beginning, I was speaking with him in German because he knows some German. So we tried to manage in German and a little bit of English, and yeah, it's still a work in progress. But with the girls, it's also yeah, a bit tough because we also have Russian and we have the local language like Latvian. They both speak those languages. Not all girls speak both languages. So even in the team, there's some girls that don't completely understand each other. So it's tough, but we manage, and I manage by learning some words, keywords in football terms, in Russian and in Latvian. So I could speak in the field with the girls and speak about the important things. And yeah, beside the field, we had some girls that were translating the things the coach was saying, or some girls that wanted to say something, and they would translate, and then if we would or I would say something, they would also translate. So actually, it worked out pretty good.
The environment should be pretty new when you arrived there. The language we've talked about, but the weather. How did you cope? Is it a very cold place? Is it just a moderate, or is it something that you're used to before?
Uh, well, here in the Netherlands, it's also cold weather and mainly rainy. But when I came there, it was March, and it's in the middle of the winter. It was pretty cold. I had some snow, I think, after the first week, and we had trainings in the evening, so it was really cold in the evening and really windy, and it was freezing, like below zero. So yeah, those things, the first weeks, I was managing because I know how it is for the weather to be cold, but I was coming from Turkey and yeah, there it was a bit warmer than in Latvia. But after a couple of weeks, you adapt to it and you put on some more clothes and try to stay warm in training. So yeah, you get used to it pretty quickly.
Anyway, let's talk about the Gambia national team. You were invited, you had an impressive performance, they're happy with your performance. Yes, the women's national team didn't qualify, but you gave a respectable performance, of course, by your standard. It's always tough in Africa when you play a side like Nigeria, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea. They're like the best teams in Africa, especially when you play against Ghana as well. Senegal is also coming up. Not much is happening as far as national team is concerned. But how would this help you, motivate you being the captain of your team and now also, winning the MVP if you were again invited to be part of the national team to help Gambian girls to move to the next level of football?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward if I would be called up to yeah, help the experiences from last times. And yeah, we're sad we didn't qualify again, but I believe we could do more as a country to get to the level of the other countries like Senegal, and not in 1 year, but it takes time and it takes practice because I've seen last season, um, we don't know each other like in the national team. Girls, we come together, what, 2 times in 2 years, and you don't know how people play, what to expect, and like define the details. You don't know it because you are never together. And I believe like the bigger countries in Africa that do good in these tournaments, they are more times together. They know each other. They know the way they play. They know the way, the moment somebody's going to give you that pass, or the moment that somebody's going to run for the ball you want to receive. So I believe that is something we as a country, as Gambia, can work on, try to make it better for ourselves, but also for the girls that are playing in Gambia, for them to be seen more often by the rest of the world. Because for me, I said before, there's big talent in the national team and more talent in Gambia. But if you're not showing it to the rest of the world, it's tough for girls to get outside of the country. So yeah, I believe that that is something we could work on. And beside that, like after winning these things, yeah, the confidence is a little bit there, but I'm not the person to walk beside my shoes and be like, oh, I want this. I'm the woman, you know. So for me, that doesn't really matter. The most important thing is that we're back together and we practice and try to make the best out of it and try to reach the next round of this qualification.
Every athlete, every footballer wants something big for ourselves when it comes to women's football. I'm sure now you're playing in Latvia, but bigger teams in Europe, Barcelona, you talk of Paris Saint-Germain, Chelsea, the women's team of Manchester United, all
Yes.
those teams, some of them compete in the Women's UEFA Champions League. You would definitely have ambition to play in a bigger club. Where do you see yourself, let's say, in 5 years? What's your bigger goal, ambition?
Yes, and since we're gonna play Champions League this coming season with our club, it's a good way to see on what level I am and compare a little bit. But for me, my goal, it's already set. I see myself in 5 years to play for Real Madrid. It's my favorite club. It's been a dream. So I'm still working on that. And from now on, yeah, I have another season with Riga FC. And after the step is to go another step higher and for the road to Real Madrid. So we're working on it. We're working on it.
Well, I wish you all the best of luck in that dream. Hope it comes into reality. There
Yes,
is no
thank you very much.
dream that is big enough. Every dream can come true. So looking forward to that, seeing you in that jersey. That would be wonderful. Watching you
Yes.
at the Santiago Bernabeu play women's football.
Yeah, that would be yes, that would be a dream come true. So we keep on working and hopefully to say one day we made it.
And for the Champions League, you're going to be participating there first time. What do you hope to achieve with your team?
Yes, it will be the first time. I hope we will come out of the qualification rounds. That is the first goal we have set as a team and as the club. So yeah, I have to go back end of the month to start preseason for the club. And from that moment on, we will have full focus on the Champions League, actually. So yeah, I'm excited to start, and I'm curious to see how things will work out and who we will draw in this Champions League qualification.
Wanima, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best of luck. And hopefully, by
Yes,
the next time we do this again, something bigger.
let's hope so. Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for having this chat. It's been lovely, and indeed, let's hope next time it will be another a little bit bigger achievement.
That was Manjima Stevelmans, a player who plays for Riga FC in the Latvian league and won the most valuable player due to her outstanding performance. And she has big ambitions, big goals to play for Real Madrid, to at least achieve qualification with the Gambia women's national team. Now let's talk about athletics at the school's level. The Gambia Secondary School Sports Association recently held a press conference where they were talking about the qualification format this year, the regional allocations, how regions are put together, and when it comes to the heats, who qualifies, how many teams or athletes would qualify for each region and then competing in the final. And this is what they said. Annual Inter-Schools Athletics competition is set to kickstart this weekend, beginning with the regional heats in various regions to serve as qualifiers for the national finals. Athletics is an important part of secondary schools' activities across the country. Schools compete in both track and field events to eventually win the coveted prize in the final. Ismail Assise, president of the Secondary School Sports Association, gave an update.
This year, the regional dynamics have changed. We used to, two regions used to join together in the provinces, especially URR and CRR, and the LRR and NBR and West Coast also come up as one. But this time around, the dynamics change a little bit, wherein we have created new regions, standalone regions like CRR North. They are standing alone. This time around, they divorced from CRR South. Schools have been separated, and that means to say most of the schools that used to be upper and senior secondary school that used to stand as one are now separated and now will be competing as two different schools. One will be competing on the upper basic category, and the other one will be competing on the senior secondary school category.
More than 200 schools will take part in the heats across the country, with 16 qualifiers for each categories for the final. According to the organizers, a new scoring system is being introduced, where points will be awarded based on medals won rather than the previous method of points allocation. Abdul Karim C. is the chairman of competitions of the Secondary School Sports Association.
There is free and fair judgment in our decision. The president has told you the qualifiers from each of these regions, 16 athletes. So we want to make sure that there is justice, there is fair treatment, there is fair play, so that these 16 athletes will be selected and they come to participate in the finals. Like he said, he already told you about the medals format that we are going to use this time around. We will not be using the points. We want to standardize everything to make sure that the school that have the highest gold medal become the winner.
The most effective tool to ignite enthusiasm among young athletes and drive sports in the Gambia is undoubtedly the Schools Athletics Championship. Organized annually by the Gambia Secondary School Sports Association, the event is bigger than any national sports meeting and with some 5,000 athletes involved. It is also the greatest talent provider for the national athletics teams. From school sports now to football again. Attacker Yankuba Minte plays for Brighton Hove Albion, and he is taking part in a vast majority of the club's games in the English Premier League matches. He accumulated 660 minutes so far across the 21 fixtures, and Minte last appeared in the competition for Brighton on the 16th of January, playing 27th minute for Brighton Hove Albion versus Ipswich Town, and they won by 2-0 in that game. The attacker has notched 2 Premier League goals in the 2024-2025 season and registered 1 assist since he signed for the club. Well, Minte is a player who started off explosively for Brighton when he came on. Remember his game against Arsenal, his game against other sides in the English Premier League. And everyone thought that, you know, this is the boy and he's going to go on to be Brighton's fantastic player, new revelation, and hopeful that the form that he came with from Feyenoord in the Dutch Eredivisie would continue. But along the line, yes, he had some injuries, but aside from that, now he mainly comes in as a second-half substitute. Joining me in the studio is someone who knows well about Gambian football, follows our footballers a lot. Sir Tijan Gay, journalist. Sir, you and I discussed about Yankuba Minte, his performance and what we're expecting of him at Brighton. Have you seen much from him, or are you a little bit disappointed like many are, or does he still have to learn? Is the English Premier League completely different from what he's used to?
Yes, thank you very much, Gajaga. It's always good to be here on your platform. It has quite become a home now, and I'm very grateful for always giving me the opportunity. Well, talking about Yankuba, I no doubt nobody have doubts in his talents. He has been absolutely an amazing player, and Newcastle bought him, and due to financial fair play regulations, they were supposed to sell one of their prized assets, particularly considering his age bracket and considering the fact that he is being designated as youth team player prior to him joining Newcastle. And those were one of the regulations that you need to put in place as a club in the Premier League in order to, of course, boost your scorings when it comes to financial fair play sustainability. That was the main reason Newcastle sold him, but if that wasn't the case, they would have loved to kept him. In fact, some of their fans are still very much angry that Eddie Howe decided to let him go. That's how good or how highly rated he is. And in the Premier League, we've seen more or less put a lot of pressure in him.
Yes, especially on social media.
We always demand a lot from him. Remember, Adingra was there before him. Adingra exploded well before Minte, and Minte came, took Adingra's place. And even Adingra is coming back into the fold, but he's not the Adingra that was there last season. Mitoma exploded well before Minte, and Mitoma, one can also say that he is no longer the Mitoma that we know.
Dropped a lot.
Dropped a lot.
Yeah.
So that's football. These things do happen, but if you know Minte's talent, if you know his abilities, you will definitely be sure that if he's given time, if he's lucky with injuries, if something do not get into his head, if he's not overfaced by pressure, he's going to be a very top player for Brighton. That's how good he is. But let's give the kid time. Let's give the kid a breathing space, because top players need it. Players that are even much more better than Minte or had higher pedigree than Minte when they came to the Premier League needed time. Remember, Nicolas Pepe scored 22 goals for Lille. Arsenal bought him for £72 million. It took him time to settle in, and even some Arsenal fans still consider him as a flop. Yeah. Jack Grealish joined Manchester City for £100 million. In 2024, he scored only 1 goal. See Marcus Rashford, how good he is. He's having some problems off the field, and still now he cannot get back into the Manchester United fold. So this is the life of football. Sometimes fans are always demanding more from the player. We all know that. But as Gambians, as somebody or people that should support Minte all the way, we should not be the ones that should be putting all this pressure on him. Allow the kid to breathe. I know he has talent, he has everything that it takes. He is never phased out by the situation. Probably there are other things that are coming into his life, but he needs to settle, he needs to adapt, he needs to get all these things filtered into his head. Once that is being done, I'm pretty sure he's going to explode and do a lot of good. He already got 2 goals, some couple of assists along the way. Let's give him time. I'm pretty sure by the end of the season and the commencement of next season, we will see a different Minte. I have no doubt about that.
A lot of criticism about his game is his decision-making, the final third of the field, where he's the most important. These days, if you're a winger, you're expected to score goals or maybe do a lot of assists. When Brighton played against Arsenal in that game, he should have scored.
True.
Yes, that was a fantastic opportunity to score. But we've seen players missing sitters. But of course, for him, it's for the confidence, it's for everything that has to do with his game as a young player developing, coming up. Do you think that's an aspect of his game that he can improve?
Sure. All right. When we look at Minte during the preseason, he was absolutely the best player for Brighton. Right. He scored a lot of goals, particularly when they went to Asia. And then that is the form that he came on with in the commencement of the league. He started some of the games, but remember, it is different. Pre-season is different with, of course, real game situation, and the Premier League is the toughest league. It's fast-paced, it is intense. It's very much different with the Eredivisie. So it will take time for Minte to understand and adapt to the tough nature and the fast nature of the Premier League. It will take time for you to know and understand this half-back or this wing-back I'm facing. How does he defend? What are his weaknesses? What are his strengths? You will play once or twice with a particular player to know all these things. So all these things, he would adapt with these things. And more importantly, he was injured for quite a while. And because he wanted to play for the Gambia so much, he decided to come. I'm not saying these are the things that his manager considered or looked into before dropping him. But remember, he was the one that he wanted to play for the Gambia. And of course, the coach made the contact with the technical director. They said that he was available. But if Minte said he wasn't available, he was not going to come. But it was because the love that he had for the Gambia and believed that he can help us to qualify for the AFCON, he came and played for us. And remember, prior to that, he did not have any games for Brighton. He went back, and still now, probably Brighton believed that he needed, of course, much more fitness or adjust to his fitness level to start playing again. And then he was ill again. So all these things would, of course, affect his form. He's not a robot, he's a human being. So it will take time for him to get back to the level that he was during the commencement of the preseason. And coupled with the fact that he needs to understand and learn about these players, particularly the players that he's facing, in order to boost his confidence and know when to dribble, when to push past this particular player, when to shoot. All these things will come with time. So give the kid space, give him time. I'm pretty sure he got all the attributes in order to be a top player. And by next season, with Hostler staying, I'm sure, hopefully Hostler will stay as their head coach because he trusts him a lot. We'll see a different Minte. I have no doubt about that.
This day of modern football, you have social media. It has a huge significance in people's life, except maybe for a few players. Is it Rodri or someone? I think
Rodri,
says, I don't use social media at all. Maybe he would be free from all the toxic nature of social media, all the criticism and everything. Would it help, or is it something that players, yes, you would be having your official social media account, whether it's a Facebook or whether it's Instagram. Most of them, in fact, are active on Instagram. But aside from that, you just concentrate on your game and just completely forget about what goes on social media, about you or maybe criticism.
It's difficult because players have a social life. They have friends, they have families. They would also want to go to social media, watch certain videos, enjoy themselves, and then converse with other people. That is very normal. He has his life. But when you enter into social media, there are so many other aspects of your life that might be affected in one way or the other. So you have to be prepared for these things. And most African players do not have special psychologists they see in order to boost their morals. Some teams do have it, or most professional teams do have a psychologist and all. But these are things, sometimes the effects that it have on you is immeasurable. And sometimes people call certain mental illness as a European type of illness, for example, depression.
Depression, yes.
But it happens in Africa.
Of course,
it happens
does a lot.
It does a lot. Some people will tell
are dealing with it.
Yeah, how should you be, or how can you be an African and be depressed? But these are things that happen. Some people have mental issues, and some of them, a good number of it stem from social pressures. A good number of it stem from family issues and all. I'm not saying these things could happen to is happening to Minte or any other Gambian player, but these things do happen. Sometimes you go to social media, you look at some of the criticism, you look at some of the things that people say about you, it might affect you in one way or the other. And it can lead to so many other impediments about your career. That is why as people, we should be protective about what we have. Because Minte could be what Sadio Mane is to Senegal to us. Minte could be what Samuel Eto'o is to Cameroon to us. He has that potential. So we have to protect him. We have to, of course, be positive when we deal about his issues. Not only Minte, all of our players.
And athletes in general.
Yeah, we could be critical. That's normal. But when you are critical, when you criticize constructively. But it shouldn't be. The criticism shouldn't turn out to be a social pressure on these players. So all said and done, I'm pretty sure you look at Minte, you look at what he has gone through. He's never faced about a situation. That is one thing that I love about him. But remember, situations are different. The English Premier League is the toughest league. It's the most competitive league in the world. Expectations are higher, and his lifestyle, his social status have changed rapidly.
Completely.
So it will need time for him to adapt to all these things. But once he's well grounded, once he knows his surroundings, get himself, of course, very much comfortable with everything, I have no doubt that he's going to explode and even outshine the pinnacle or the level that we've rated him at, because that's how good he is.
tomorrow he's going to face my beloved Manchester United. So let's see how that one goes, even if he comes from the bench. The last time they said Diego Dallo pocketed him when he faced Dallo. That game he started. So possibly tomorrow he would come on again as a sub, or probably maybe he would get the nod to start again because of his performance in previous games. Another Gambian player we're going to talk about in the Saudi Pro League this time is Musa Barrow. This guy's feat is just unbelievable. He's been awarded the most beautiful goal, if you want, the best goal in that particular month, week 13 of the Saudi Pro League, and this was in December, but the award was given just a week ago. Say, Musa Barrow is a beauty to watch. We would have still want to watch him play for an English Premier League side or a top European club. Not in Saudi, but Saudi leagues. Some argue he's also competitive now, but scoring the goals are coming in thick and fast, and what a beautiful goals that he would score in most of the matches that he plays for Al Tawoun.
Yeah, I believe Musa and quite a good number of players that are playing in the Saudi Pro League are good enough to play at any league in the world, any highest league in the world. That's how good they are. But the attraction of the monies in this Gulf state is so big that players would go and collect it. And remember, if you come from Africa with the families, the social pressure that you have, the responsibilities and all, if you see more money, you go for it, because you definitely have a whole lot of generation behind you, so many things that you should take care of. So that's just like Adebayo once said, that he said, if any African player tells you that he doesn't come to Europe to look for the money, he's lying, because everybody is there to get the money. So that's one aspect of it. But other than that, maybe one day or the other, if a particular top European club is able to put something on the table, something quite attractive enough in terms of monetary gains, they can get him. Because I'm not seeing this Saudi project fading away very soon. People were saying it will just last for 2-3 years, but we've seen it is booming. And let's wait for the next transfer window, the summer transfer window, to see whether they will attract some big names yet again. And I'm looking at how it is being projected, how sports is being promoted and showcased in Saudi. Not only football, but other sports.
Recently, all the boxing bouts, yes, the big bouts are held.
All the top sporting activities takes place in Saudi. So I'm pretty sure the football project would continue on the same trend. But talking about his attributes, I was fortunate enough to watch this kid debut for Hawks. And I think it was in his first season where he scored 4 goals against Walidat. It doesn't happen every day to see a player score 4 goals in our domestic league. I think I was fortunate enough in recent years to watch only Musa and Abdullah Sarr live. He scored 4 goals in one particular game. Musa was against Hawks and Abdullah Sarr was against Fortune. Musa, from that day on, he alongside Ibrahim Okoli, I knew if everything goes well, these kids are destined to go at the highest level. Then they went to Atalanta, played in the Primavera, made his debut, played in the Champions League, and at that point of time, everybody knew that this player was not yet the finished article, but you would see his confidence, you would see how he trusts his right foot and sometimes his left foot, how he can score from anywhere in the field. And you know he was destined for glory. Then he moved to Bologna, had mixed spells when it comes to doing well and having deep in form, but you would always know that the talent is there. And then, boom, the African Cup of Nations, he came, said, I'm going to be the best player of the Gambia, and he took on this mantle, never looked back. He was one of the most outstanding players in that tournament, and from there he never looked back again. Went to the Saudi Pro League, continued with that trend, and right now to score, I think, 9 goals in the Saudi Pro League, competing with the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo for the top honors in terms of goal scoring. That is top notch. And I said this and say it again. Musa, he's so confident with himself. He believes that he can score anywhere he stands, and that is very good. And one thing that I see him adding to his game right now, and which he should do more, is adding assists to his game, because sometimes you would be like, well, if I could see the post and hit it, I can score. But sometimes it is also important to say, if I'm here and then 1 or 2 people are blocking me, why shouldn't I find my teammate? If he adds that to his game, remember scoring goals and being an assist king, he would surpass these numbers that he is currently getting, because he has the attributes, he has the natural talent. Because you can have a very good player who is being taught how to dribble, he is being taught how to mark the space, how to do so many things, but there are things that you are innately born with, and that is what Musa have. That is his right foot, which is his range of shot is absolutely blistering, and he can whip balls anywhere. So maximize it. Although he's doing his utmost best, but you shouldn't be content with the numbers that you're having. That is the difference between a very good player and a good player. If you are content with 5-6 goals, or I can whip in a worldie of a goal every 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then you say to yourself, I want to read the numbers of Messi, I want to read the numbers of Cristiano Ronaldo, I want to read the numbers of Neymar, I want to read the numbers of Lamine Yamal, I want to read the numbers of Vinicius Junior. You will go the extra mile to do these things, and he has the attributes and he has the qualities to dine on the same table with these players that I've mentioned. Maybe in the Saudi Pro League that is not the case, but he might not be considered the same way as these players. But if he continues, or if he's hungry enough to say that I have to reach at this level, I'm pretty sure he can do that. That's how highly I rate him, and that's how talented he is.
Well, talking about our players, one player that always comes to mind, if he's not in the discussion for today, but is Abdoulaye Diamano, who plays for Metz in the French second division, the League 2. This is a player who is destined for greatness, his playing attributes, his vision in the game, his passing, and taking long shots and scoring from them. This should be something very, very wonderful in terms of a player who has the abilities to go to the next level. But this wouldn't happen. He's just at Metz, stuck there, and there was a time he had a loan spell in Belgium where he was playing for in one of the teams there, and then later on he went back to Metz again. Well, it's quite amazing how a player could start at a certain level and you think they're going to move on to the next. Injuries have really played a lot in that, Abdoulaye Diallo.
Yeah, I think, well, you look at it, you would say that this player could have done way better than what he did, or could have been at a higher level. We all agree to that. But remember, Abdoulaye Diallo came from a generation that, I think, if he turned back and look at his peers, he would be like, I am one of the luckiest, or the luckiest amongst the group that I came from. Remember, back in 2018, 2019, we had an under-20 team that I believe was the most talented under-20 team that we had in the last 20 years. Although we had one in terms of numbers that we can consider the best. That is the one that went to the World Cup in Argentina. But if you remember, Bobino Baboucar Cisse in goal, by Faye, Janko, he is still playing here in Steve Biko. If you remember, Abdoulaye Diallo, Diamano, Pa Omar Babu, Omar Job, that trio up front, blistering. Although Diamano was an outstanding player, but remember, Pa Omar Babu was also an absolutely fantastic player.
I still have a video of them playing against Morocco's under-20 in a friendly at the stadium.
They faced the likes of Hakimi and always gave them problems. Pa Omar Babu was a nightmare to Hakimi, and look at where Hakimi is playing right now. So that generation, a good number of them went to professional football, but none of them reached the heights of Abdoulaye Diallo Diamano, and they were equally as good as him. And that is why I said, if you look back, he might be disappointed that he could have got the numbers of, let's say, Lamine Camara, who is currently doing very well in Monaco, or even outside him. But he would look back where he came from and say, probably I might be the luckiest amongst my generation. But looking at it again, I think I will not question his representation, but I might question Metz as well. Because for whatever reason, Metz always get a lot of very young, exciting players from Generation Foot. But if you look at the number of them that have made a breakthrough to the top leagues, you look at in relation to the number, or in relation to how good they were when they were moving to Metz, or how highly rated they were, fine, they had the likes of Sadio Mane, the likes of Adebayo, Babukar Gueye and all, but it is only Sadio Mane that reached that particular level consistently. Maybe Lamin Camara could be yearning for, on track to be at that level, but overall, maybe it's the marketing project they choose for the player, or maybe there is another thing. And if you look at Mets, today they are in the top division. The next year they are in the second division. So the project can be considered successful, but well, if you look at, let's say, other bigger projects like the ones that Ivory Coast had with the likes of Kolo Touré, the likes of Yaya Touré, the likes of Zakora and all, the likes of Emmanuel Ibue, you can count 7 or 8 players that have played at the highest level and were considered African grades. I'm not pretty sure Generation Foot and the Mets connection can reach or have even come close to that level.
Something like that.
And Ablaye Diallo's case could be always all these things. You cannot deal with it independently because it is the same setup. And injuries have been an older issue for him. I think season before last, it was an absolutely brilliant season, and then injuries struck again. When he came to the African Cup of Nations in 2022, he was absolute and phenomenal player. And even at one point of time, it was Jaman or Hassan who were fighting for who is the best player for the Gambian national team. And when we went to competition, or when we have games in difficult circumstances, if it is not Hassan, it is Ablaye Diallo Jamano that scored the goals and all. That's how good he is. But for whatever reason, he has not reached the level that his talent has.
Absolutely.
And for that, it's worrying. But as I said again, he would look back and look at his generation and look at the likes of Omar Job, the likes of Pa Omar Babu, the likes of, what is his name again? The midfield player who played for Birkama United. Birkama or Gamtel. He's in the Croatian league. He will look at all these players and be like, Alhamdulillah, Santayal.
Yes, Ablaye Jamano is another player that we definitely can talk about the whole day. We would have loved to talk about Aliou Fadera, but unfortunately, that's it for Qsports today. And until we come your way next week at the same time, have a lovely day. Bye.